I know everyone's excited about having a recruiter at a coding conference because you don't get enough of those in your inbox, right? So I'll try to walk through some things. It's a lot of information. And we're talking about different areas, right? Hiring, job seeking, your career, all these different elements, all right? So I'm gonna try to keep it as entertaining as possible. I have to tell you on the front end, the first things that I'm gonna hit you with are just high level things that are going on. Some of them, there's no easy way to sugarcoat what's going on, but it's not all bad. So don't think it's doom and gloom, but it's just shifts that we're seeing. All right, so I'm gonna jump into it. As you can see, I styled my own Lego and tried to dress like him as best I could. I had a great joke that my wife said was horrible, so I'm not going to subject you to it. But this is me. You know, I've been here for 3 years running in terms of being a sponsor. Me and my co-founder right there, Penn Sanders. We started STEM Search Group. This was back in 2020. Okay. We've worked with tech giants, formerly Twitter, right? Obviously no longer, which stung a lot because that was a big get. We've worked with tons of startups. We've worked nationally, every kind of industry you can think of, all right? Overall, I've been doing this about 20 years, and I've been blessed. And I'm blessed because people have entrusted me with their careers. I've been blessed because companies have actually said, hey, we're gonna use you. It's not something we take lightly that people turn to us, and we try to help wherever we can. I am extremely passionate about anything tied to computer science and outreach, redefining, reskilling. I sit on the board of ITology. I will talk to any cohort from any code camp ever about how to find work. We have long been supporters of every meetup group we can be a part of. Refactor Greenville. Again, third year sponsoring this. You've never seen us set up a table because we want to keep it pure. All right, don't ask me why Barry is subjecting you to this today. All right, but I love this space. I love that y'all share it with us, all right? And we're not just talking about AI, we are trying to build things too. Now, I'm not saying they're to the degree that you all are capable of by any means, but we are out there building, okay? We're playing in the same playground. Actually, Sam Sanders right there heads up a lot of those efforts for us, even though we're a small company. We're a 4-person company, and we have a full-time head of R&D. So, because there's problems, there's gaps, and we're trying to fill those gaps, all right? And yes, I will be the theme throughout this. I got a little too carried away when I was making images. So here's where we're at today. So I told you it's not all, I'm just gonna lay it out there. Ad nauseum, all we hear is AI everything. Things that aren't AI are called AI. Every business out there wants an agent, right? Why aren't we vibe coding? What is vibe coding? We need to vibe code. You have CEOs talking about initiatives. You have salespeople that now think they're a coder. I mean, it's everywhere. All right? You follow the news. Every big tech company out there can't wait to tell you how they're going to eliminate 15 to 30% of their staff with AI. Layoff, layoff, layoff. Now, they don't say, oh, by the way, in 2020 to 2022, we were overhiring and we weren't putting in the proper channels of how we grew as a team. They leave that part out. They were just racing for talent. So some of it is recalibrating, but yes, it's very real. And when big tech lays off, it trickles down into every area of our tech community. It impacts wages. It impacts everything. So you have to know that. You could follow it. Doesn't mean doom and gloom, but facts are facts, all right? Microsoft Research, I went through the whole paper. Did anyone else have some free time and went through their 47-page paper on 980 jobs? Know what was very interesting? The top 40 roles that were vulnerable to being replaced by AI, well, a lot of them are being developed by your peers, right? I hate that they said web developer. I wish they would have said something else, but they said web developer, tons of different analysts, data science. Those are the ones most vulnerable. Now, take that with a grain of salt, okay? That does not mean you're being replaced. It means functions of your role are being looked at. You know, reorganization is being looked at. But those are areas that are definitely more vulnerable. It's why I'm trying to tell my son to go become a CNC operator versus a computer scientist right now, right? He's got plenty of things. He's in 7th grade. So the jobs report, we're not going to spend a lot of time on it. When they readjusted it, not great news. Okay, it's not all doom and gloom, but it wasn't great news. It was below what it should be. That means less job creation. Now, on the other side, I will say something that I do think is a little troubling is new tech grad placements right now. I mean, I have taught Scratch. I have invested a lot of time telling middle schoolers, go into computer science, go become a software engineer, go do this, that, like, and now it's troubling. The 3 biggest majors linked to computer science have higher unemployment rates than the national average. All right, that's really a startling fact. So if you're a new grad right now, times, if they seem tougher, they are. It's not just you. Don't sit there and start wondering, what am I doing wrong? You do need to look for help, and hopefully this helps a little bit. Vibe coding mishaps. One of my favorite things, the guilty pleasure, is to read about some of these. It's just some of the logic out there of doing things in production and just over trusting. It's just mind blowing. Now, why is that important to you? That's job security to you, all right? But you also need to know that you keep on hearing about vibe coding because it ain't going anywhere. So it's a reality we've got to accept that it's got to become part of your repertoire, all right? And yeah, I think it's interesting that Base 44, who's familiar with Base 44? Okay, it's a vibe coding platform that introduced a vulnerability that literally would even bypass SSO authentication. That was an entire platform. Uh-oh. You know, that one really cracked me up. I guess just me. So the other thing, and again, these are just high level, a lot of bad actors, lots of crazy things going on in terms of being an employer trying to keep up with things. Anybody looking for a job in here? And I'm not, Penn. I'm just raising my, but you are, okay. So anyone looking for a job, what happens? Every job you go for has hundreds of applicants, right? You never hear anything back. That's a very real thing. And then I initially was going to leave this out, and Barry's like, what are you doing? And so he reminded me, like, this is very relevant. You even have ATS systems. Workday is one of the biggest out there. They're being sued in a class action lawsuit for using AI that discriminated. So we live in a casserole of nonsense right now, right? About AI. And we got to start working together to kind of peel back some of these layers. So how is AI impacting hiring? instead of just hearing it from me, is there any engineering leader or anyone out there that's really involved in hiring that could tell me what their experience is today? What it's like when you post a job? Anyone that will share? Otherwise, I can fill in the blanks. Barry?
Last time I posted a job, there were 800 applicants, and most of them were junk. So in order for me to look through the applications, I had to spend hours of my time sifting through all this nonsense to find people who actually read the application form and weren't AI generated. Complete saturation.
So for those that weren't in here, Barry posted a job, hundreds of applicants very quickly, and then turned around, most of the applicants, AI written, not a fit, didn't really look at what was being asked. All right?
So in our case, when we were interviewing folks, there seemed to be a sense of people looking somewhere else, more answers that they were asking, and kind of changing their answer to match with what they were saying.
Yep. So AI adapting the resume to basically hallucinate what was being asked for into and inject it into the resume, right? So
Thank you. That's the job seeker. I see AI being used for filtering the application, and job seekers they use AI to kind of customize or do whatever. So it's impacting negatively on both sides.
it is.
And I get paid response for each and every job. Though I have genuine experience, it matches with the requirement, but I get different paid response.
Another speaker, if you're not in here, is talking about the impact as a job seeker and using that. Promise you that's the next slide. So we will address it. But what I wanted to share was this. Candidate AI, candidate side AI is vastly outpacing and quickly morphing what employer AI is doing within these ATS systems, within the processes, things like that. What's happening is this. They post a job, and let me tell you, Penn will back me up. We post a job, if we say remote, oh no. Right? Thousands of applicants. Hundreds within the first hour. They don't correctly read what we're asking for. They just apply. It bogs down the system. Because LinkedIn and every ATS out there know what they haven't gotten good at? Caring about the efficiency of getting to the right people no matter when they come in. So if you're not one of the first applicants, which you're not going to outrace AI, you may not be seen. The employer would love to go through every resume. Let's take a shop that has 40 jobs, if they're getting 1,000 per job. Who can do that? Who can manage that? So we have a lot of issues going on the employer side, and it's not fun. And I'm not saying that everyone needs to be like, oh, I feel so bad for them, but it is hard to deal with, okay? So you have that going on. You have AI deepfakes. I won't say the whole word, but F leak code. Who remembers that? That guy just got $40 million to start up something. But you have avatars that you have to wave your hand in front to make sure it's a real person. You have things that will speak into their ear if they have an AirPod and tell them the answers. You have like cheat co-pilots. Employers are trying to figure out how to combat that, okay? Pressure to do more with less. I won't spend as much time on that one, but it's like every other company. No one likes investing in talent acquisition HR, outside firms. I can tell you no one likes our fees. I get it. My dad almost disowned me. He was the CEO of a textile company when I told them I was becoming a headhunter. So that was not a great conversation. The other thing is this: think about how your role can be shifting. Employers right now, if you see a pause in hiring, especially at a junior level, a lot of it may not mean that the jobs won't come back. They are looking at their team. They're saying, how are we going to adjust? And you're going to start seeing things. There was just an article on the Pragmatic Engineer. Ridiculously, if you're not on that newsletter, you are missing out. It is probably one of the best. But there was just something, I had already written this, I do want to go on record as saying that. There was something about doing forward deployed engineers. Now what does that mean? A lot of companies are saying, okay, we are having to morph how we attack, what we offer. And that includes whether you're at a SaaS company or if you're working internal at another organization, all right? Companies are having to think about embedding engineering talent directly into the business unit. That's called a forward deployed engineer. You may spend 25 to 50% in the business unit and the rest of the time with your engineering team. Because you need to know, you got to be able to innovate, you got to be able to rapid prototype and move so fast that just what that business needs. Who here has seen the rise of the go-to-market engineer? Right? That you're going to start seeing these different, different first word kind of engineer, all built around whatever function they're supporting. And a lot of companies are saying, how are we going to do this? And they're trying to solve it now because the business is reading CEO magazine on their Delta flight and talking about how AI has solved every problem in the business, right? And know what they say? I want that. There's a lot that goes into it. And know what the engineering team says? Well, it's not that easy. Please don't do it yourself. And then they say, either do it for me or I'll do it myself. And then this is where we get to. All right? Now we're going to talk about the candidate side now. As a candidate, I cannot stress, I'm not going to go through every single bullet point, okay? But I cannot stress enough, AI is not perfect. If you go out to Sweebench and look at his coding skills, not one of them, I think they dropped down even the highest performer to like 60, right? Compared to what a human could do. You just have to know that it is not built to do what you could do on your own. That doesn't mean you shouldn't use it as part of your process. But if you're using Teal or something like that, wow. Think about how many resumes are going through Teal. Think about how things start looking the same, sounding the same. Okay? It is not a good approach to find a job. All right? That is what we call spray and pray. You may get lucky, but that is not a good approach to finding a job. That is not a deliberate job search. So a good thing would be, hey, Gen AI of my choice, of your choice, like review this job description and have it as a PDF, right? Attach it as a PDF. Now, review my job. Put it in the canvas in bold where I'm a match. Have it be an analyst, not a resume writer. Okay? It's very good at analyst work. The other thing is you can do follow-up questions. So systems are still built based on algorithms, right? Keyword counts, keyword proximity, all these things. So everyone that tells you remove redundancy, they don't understand applications. So if I review a job and let's say, Python's, that's cheap, but let's say TensorFlow is mentioned 12 times. Should I have TensorFlow if I have it in my background appear more than once as a hard skill? Yeah, I probably should. Because the other thing I'll ask these hiring managers that raise their hand, I promise you they've had a hand in their job descriptions, because recruiters don't have the knowledge that they have about what they need. So they are telling you what they need. Have it analyze and compare, and then it can make some recommendations. Human review, be the human in the loop. Don't ask companies to keep you as the human in the loop if you're not even willing to be the human in the loop of your own job, right? Tech layoffs, I'll jump into that. The big thing is this, these stats, and I'm gonna put everything in Zulip, don't worry. Wage growth has dramatically slowed down. It's below the national average now. Big tech layoffs will also impact that, okay? That doesn't mean you start freaking out. That does mean you better get AI skills, you better get ML skills today and start working on it, because that is giving you 15 to 56% more wage power and bargaining power than your counterparts that are like, well, I don't know if it'll impact me. It will impact you, all right? And as far as the interview process, and give some companies some grace here. Again, they don't have big teams. They're trying to solve all these problems that we talked about. They're going to make an omelet, they're going to break some eggs, right? And part of it won't always be great. Now, one of those things that I've heard companies trying to do is really invest more in AI avatars that will own the complete recruiting process. It is going to be highly impersonable. I would not recommend it, but they're trying to keep up. They want everyone to be, they're trying to increase the candidate experience. It will decrease. If you love a company and what they stand for, realize you may not love the process, try to hear them out. You know, do that for yourself, because they're trying to figure this out as well. So some of this stuff I already talked about. Semi-automate, don't fully automate. LinkedIn, I will also tell you this. If you think applying for a job description is looking for a job, stop. That's not. You're just submitting a resume. Go out there, find the hiring manager. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to send a LinkedIn invite. But don't ask if they're going to interview you. Okay? Don't make it to where it's awkward in any way, shape, or form. Don't make it to where you're portraying that you feel that they owe you a response. They get inundated a lot. But know what you should do? You should use that connection request to say, I want to connect, I want to follow what you and your company are doing. I'm really interested because of X, Y, Z. If I meet you, great. If not, I wish you the best. Just something like that. Don't make it to where they have to do anything besides accept. Now here's the reason why. Recruiters go and look for common connections. All right? If I'm a recruiter and you're connected to my CTO, I'm probably going to pause and think, well, I might need to follow up with this person. It'll increase your likelihood. Not 100%, but it will increase your likelihood. So do yourself a favor, build your network. Community, you touched on that earlier. Get involved. It doesn't mean you're going to like every meeting, doesn't mean every single time you're going to take anything away from it, right? But get involved. Have people in your network. Barry was just saying, I hire from my network first and foremost. That is every hiring manager I know. All right? So build your network. Give presentations. Why? That forward deployed engineer is going to have to talk to business stakeholders. They better be comfortable delivering ideas. What better place to develop that skill than in a loving community that will wrap their arms around you and say, good job. You know, that's what we have here. That's what's so amazing. So get out there, do those things, grow, contribute code to open source. Do things that Yeah, it may not have immediate ROI, right? What you need to be learning, yeah, I put context engineering for dummies. There's a whole list here. You guys know a lot about this stuff. I will say this, if you're not spending enough time understanding scalable infrastructure and DevOps, if you're not spending enough time understanding security, and that hasn't been a strength, you're shooting yourself in the foot a little bit. Tried and true understanding of quality, scalable architecture is so key, because the thing that vibe coding needs, these platforms, these AI platforms, is human guided. Where does someone go? A couple of things. Product-led growth. Who here has heard product-led growth? PLG, just all the time. That is going to start morphing into hybrids. They haven't settled on one name because there's going to be like 8,000 of them. But part of that reason is this. It used to be that you could just ship, right? You could ship, new feature, boom, product-led. Well, now you're going to ship features, yes, but you need to do bespoke clients to retain customers are going to be asking for bespoke automations. You know, AI agents that just do their business. So you're going to start seeing a lot of organizations talked about product-led sales, service-led sales, software as service, or service as software, sorry. A lot of different things. Keep up with the trends because it will impact your job, all right? Spec-driven development. I will touch on that one. If you're developing any kind of agentic solution, if you're working with AI, hopefully you've already started down this path, right? But this is, when you look at RedMonk, when you look at Pragmatic Engineer, when you look at some of these wildly trusted resources, all of them are starting to push this modular, like let's make it modular. Let's not let it just run and go because it introduces too many errors, too many hallucinations, things like that. Let's break it down. It's finally, waterfall and agile had a baby, and it's spec-driven development, right? Like a lot of places have already had kind of hybrid, but that's something you guys want to know about, even if it's not going on in your shop now, because if you have an influence in how something's tackled, it's really good. A local CTO who I trust just inherently talks about a platform called Code Guide. If anyone's used that, it's wicked. It's awesome. It'll help create all those artifacts, things like that, all right? The other thing is human in the loop. Yes, I've said that, and I know that's a corny buzzword. Figure out how to be the human in the loop, how to introduce that to your company, where the human needs to be, okay? So I won't go through this. This will have some helpful links. For fun, go to the daily WTF. I mean, if you're not reading that, like, you talk about laughing. Like, there's some good stuff there. Connect with me. I enjoyed it. Thank you for letting me be the unnecessary recruiter influence. Like, I really appreciate it. Thank you, Barry.